to the way he was. Little
Just
freestyle nation
just bob your
playing.
head a little bit.
Just bob your head a little bit.
Yeah. Feel good music. Y'all know how we like. We love some feel good music now. Yes. So listen, check this out. We love feel good music so much that if y'all got a feel good artist, let us know who that is. Because we like to start featuring some artists, you know. We don't know everybody. We just know who we know. But if y'all know some feel good artists, let us know. Because we like to, you know, bring them on. You know we love music, people. We're musicies.
Hey, this is
Like
the
foodies, we're musicies. Let's get started,
Let's
honey.
get started.
Huh?
Let's get started.
Okay, cool. So, check this out. We wanted to share our 19th wedding anniversary with you, and we only doing this for 30 minutes. I'm just letting y'all know in advance. So y'all ain't got to get nothing to drink. Y'all ain't got to get a whole bunch to do because we're going to be in and out. But we wanted to share this time with you, to share with you all how we actually did this for 19 years. Like, share with you all how we managed, because
We ain't have no issues. Don't make them seem like we had.
I was about to say that.
Oh, okay, I just started. Just being silly.
So here's how we did it. Listen how this started.
Get ready for
I was
that.
minding my own business at church. Wasn't doing nothing. You know, I was just being great by myself. You know, no, I'm just joking. So here we are. So he was youth pastor.
How you
at
think
our
you started working with the youth? Because you saw this handsome man over there. Stop playing.
Really?
Let's tell the truth before we get on. Are we on here?
Okay. So at our home church, he was the youth pastor. And I was in school for school counseling. I was getting my master's degree. And so I was learning more and how to work with the youth. And so our friend Leslie Parrish at the time, introduced us. I was going through a very rough time in my life. And she was like, I think I got somebody who is a good listener, a good friend for you. I was like, I don't need no more friends. I don't want to do, that's okay. So she introduced us, and I was a little skeptical at first because I was like, I don't need no friends in my life right now. I'm going through a hard time. I can't possibly have no friends who I want to spend time with anyway. And so she introduced us, and he and I started talking as friends. Totally as friends. We would talk about past relationships. We would talk about what I was actually going through at the time. We would talk about my hopes and dreams because I was in the master's program. We would talk about some things that he was interested in. He's been a true die-hard hustler, entrepreneur since the day we met. He was actually that early on in his life. So we talked a lot about those things. And so just conversations. Listen to me. Conversations. We literally would stay up talking to each other about books, about motivational things, just conversation. We dissected relationships together. We've talked about this before, relationship autopsies. We did those together. We talked about our childhoods. We talked about our parents. We talked about a lot of stuff.
That's it.
When we were just friends. So our foundation of our marriage is our friendship. So when the times, which has never happened to us, but I tell people this all the time when they're married, the foundation of your marriage should be your friendship. Because there will be times where you might not like your spouse. You still love them, but you might not like them. That's never happened to us. But
Thank God.
it could be a time. And it's your friendship that will get you through that. Because you will still remember those times when this is the person that I've poured my soul to. This is the person that let me cry. Even before we started getting intimate physically, we got intimate mentally. We got intimate emotionally. We got intimate through our conversations. And we said intimacy is into me see.
Write that down.
Intimacy is into me see. And the only way that you can do that with a fleshly person, not meaning the spiritual, meaning our Heavenly Father, but a fleshly person, is to have conversations. That's the only way you can do intimacy. So before you even become physically intimate, you have to become emotionally and mentally intimate. And so we spent a lot of time doing that. And so he had to become emotionally safe for me. Because remember, I said I was going through a very challenging time in my life at that point. So much so that I actually, months before we had met, I had tried to take my own life. And so I had to have somebody who was emotionally safe for me. And the only way to determine if somebody's emotionally safe for you is to have conversation with them. And I ain't talking about giving him my deepest, darkest secrets. Listen to me. He didn't get my deepest, darkest secrets in the first week. He didn't get my deepest, darkest secrets in the first conversation. He didn't even get my deepest, darkest secrets in the first year we were dating. Listen to me. I was very intentional about what I shared with him and when I shared it, because I had to first determine whether or not he was emotionally safe for me.
Okay.
Here's the second thing. He had to create an atmosphere. I always say it's the ladies who create an atmosphere. But because I was damaged at the time that we met, he had to create an atmosphere that allowed me to be safe with him. So before I even shared my secrets, before I even got to the point to where I could bear some of my soul and what I was experiencing with him, he had to create that environment for me to be able to share. So now, ladies, I wasn't trying to catch him. He didn't even know what I looked like underneath my clothes, because none of that came up. Because I was very intentional in what I was trying to do. And I wasn't even trying to date anybody. I wasn't trying to be on the rebound with anybody. I needed a friend. And so before he could even get to that point, listen, he had to make it through gate 1 first. He had to make it through gate 1 first. And when he was able to make it through gate 1, listen, he had to make it through gate 2. And when he was able to make it through gate 2, listen, he had to make it through gate 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way. So there was a lot about me. There was a peeling away of layers before he could even become physically intimate with me. Listen to me. Because I had to first determine whether or not he was emotionally safe.
That was good.
I'm just saying.
Let me say this on a serious note, because again, this is not our first ride at the rodeo called marriage. We made mistakes. We've chose our own route, if you want to say it like that. But I'm saying to you that what I've learned is that you have to get to a place where you first become healthy, where you first become healed from your hurts. There's a phrase that I always say: if you don't get help for your hurts, the only thing you'll end up doing is cutting people who did not, bleeding on people rather, who did not cut you. I'm gonna say that again. When you don't get help for your past hurts, when you don't find a safe space to let your hurts come out of you, the only thing you'll end up doing is bleeding on people who did not cut you. So a lot of times you're trying to figure out, why doesn't this relationship work?
Right.
Why didn't this relationship work?
Right.
It doesn't work because you're trying to actually make a relationship work when you're in a very unhealthy place. You can't have a whole lot of dysfunctional trauma lying dormant inside of you and expect somebody to come and just make your life grand and beautiful.
Right.
It takes getting toxicity, out of you in order for you to get to that place where you can have a healthy relationship. It's almost as if you take two people who are toxic, two people who have not gotten any help for their past hurts. The only thing that's going to end up doing is eventually you're going to run into a brick wall somewhere, somehow, because two people are trying to function in a very dysfunctional spot.
Right.
And it won't work.
Right.
It won't work for a long
At
time,
all.
long term.
It won't. You can't build a relationship on faulty foundation. And two unhealthy people is nothing more than a faulty foundation. And so it takes time. That may be that y'all take it real slow. We took it real slow. Like, it was pretty slow.
Take it slow. Oh, oh, oh. This time we'll take it slow. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Gotta make humor. We're not boring now. I'll tell you that now.
So, as he said, we were both married before. And the Tracy and Lawrence you see before you today, that's not the Tracy and the Lawrence that were married to other people. Like, we learned from that. We learned from the divorce. We learned from the marriage. We learned from the demise of the marriage. We learned from the divorce. We learned from the time that the divorce was over what we, check this out, wanted, needed, expected, and what was non-negotiable. Listen, when you know those things about yourself and you know how to articulate that to somebody else, you might be ready to get into your next relationship.
Let me say this, because one of the parts that I want to really go back and touch on is when you talked about we both did relationship autopsy. I want you to really go deeper in that so people really understand how important that is to do an autopsy on your past relationship, past marriage, or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is that caused your marriage or your relationship to die, you don't want to go into another relationship until you literally have a serious diagnosis, a serious autopsy on what really caused the death. It's kind of like when a person dies, they want their loved one to have an autopsy so they can find out exactly what it was that killed them. From the same perspective, you got to have that same mindset, that same thought process as it relates to your relationship, because if you don't, what's going to end up happening is that you'll go into the next relationship with the same issues and don't realize that that next relationship is going to die because of probably the fact that it was the same thing from the last one, but you just did not take the time to do an autopsy. And an autopsy will really help you to see whether it was you, whether it was them, or whether it was both of y'all, or whatever it is that you're digging, that you should have dug up and uprooted that's caused you to be at that place of going around the circle, dating the same type of people over and over again and trying to figure out why it's not working. Most times it's going to be yourself because you have not done an autopsy on your past dysfunction that you grew up in, the molestation, the trauma, abusive relationship that you were in prior to. So you go into that next relationship hoping that somebody can help you feel better about that, but it's not that easy.
Yeah. Now, nobody can make you feel better about you. Listen to me. Nobody, I'm gonna get real southern. Can't nobody make you feel good about you other than you. Start with that. That's point, period. You are the only person that can make you feel good about you. So if you're dating somebody else, if you're dating in hopes of, oh, he or she completes me, listen, you gonna always be dating. You gonna always trying to be finding somebody to, oh, I just need to feel love. No, you feel love by yourself first.
Yeah, you have to, and really that's so critical because most times people don't really understand how serious that is. You really have to love yourself first. One of the things that I always try to stress to people is the importance of developing a love relationship with self. Being okay taking self out to dinner, being okay taking self to the movies, being okay at home by yourself. Because most times the reason why people don't like to be alone is because they don't want to deal with themselves. They don't want to have to really think about all of the things that's going on with them. And so I really suggest that whatever you do before you jump into another relationship is learn how to be okay with who you are. And I'm not talking about saying it. Because most times people can say, yes, I love me. But when you look at what you put up with, you don't love you. When you look at, oh, no. You can't love yourself with what you put up with. It's impossible because when you really love yourself, you're not going to let anybody talk to you any kind of way. When you really love yourself, you're not going to put up with things, that really are not conducive for your health and for your mental health and anything else. Because some of y'all are saying, yeah, I love me, but at the same time, you allow them to just say whatever they got to say. You so stupid. You ain't going to never be nothing. How do you love yourself when you stay in a situation where somebody tells you that kind of stuff? Are you serious?
And lies to you.
And then tell yourself that you love yourself? That's oxymoronic. That's not in the same, that's just no. That don't go together. You can't hang in a relationship where somebody calls you dumb, stupid, you ain't gonna ever be nothing, and then tell yourself that you love yourself. You're fooling yourself is what you're doing.
Right. And here's the thing, and we just talked about this, until you know what your wants, needs, expectations, and non-negotiables are, you're going to be forever trying to figure this out with somebody else. Your non-negotiables are etched in stone like the 10 Commandments. They don't change. So once you make your non-negotiables known, first of all, to yourself, like, I ain't going to let nobody call me out my name. I ain't going to let nobody put their hands on me. That's a non-negotiable for me. He can't ever at any point do that. Because if he does it the first time, that means I'm giving him permission to do it the second time. So that's why when we were dating, he had to understand that a non-negotiable for me is you cannot put your hands on me. You cannot call me out my name. And you cannot raise your voice and scream at me. I grew up in that. And so that's a trigger for me. And what ends up happening is if I give you permission to do it the first time, if I forgive you the first time, oh, you were just in your feelings, oh, you were just mad, it's okay. And he keep telling me it won't ever happen again. Listen, if it happened once, it's going to happen again.
In most
instances.
Right.
So if I give him a pass the first time, what that tells him psychologically is that, wait a minute, she stressed in the very beginning that was a non-negotiable. But here I am doing it, and here I am apologizing, and here I am still in a relationship with her. So now I just gave him a hall pass to do it again. That means that has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with me. Because if I love myself enough to stick to my own non-negotiables, he's got two choices. Either he's going to meet them or he's not. And when he does it, it's okay because I'm moving on to the next thing.
Did y'all catch that?
Yeah.
Now go back to the autopsy. Talk about the importance of that real quick.
Okay, so here's the deal with the relationship autopsy. I think I shared this before. Every relationship I've ever been in, and I'm talking even from when I started having, quote unquote, a boyfriend in high school. Every relationship that I've ever been in, I have been unhappy because I found out that they were with other people. Now, that's traumatic for me, simply because it messed with my self-esteem. Did you get that? It messed with my self-esteem. I started to question who I was and why I wasn't good enough. So as we started dating, we had to have that conversation about why is it that I was not good enough in these relationships for these people to not mess around on me. But here's what I remembered, one of our conversations that we had, and we've had many. He probably don't even remember that we had this conversation.
Probably don't.
What he said to me was this: when you think you good enough, they'll think you good enough.
Ooh. I told you the truth too, didn't
you?
I?
You did. And you probably don't even remember having that
I
conversation,
don't.
do you?
We've had so many.
Exactly. We've had so many. But that's what he told me. When you think you good enough, they'll think you're good enough. And every relationship, when we had a relationship autopsy conversation, when he said that to me, I got to thinking. Relationship 1, I didn't think I was good enough. Relationship 2, and I ain't been in a lot. Relationship 2, I didn't think I was good enough. Relationship 3, I didn't think I was good enough. And here I am married to him. And 2 of those relationships were a marriage. Marriage number 2. Marriage number 1 that I got divorced from, and then that's it, 4. And so I'm sitting here going, I didn't think I was good enough. I went into the relationship thinking I wasn't good enough. This person completes me. This person makes me better. This person is going to bring all of this to the table, and I'm going to feel better about who I am because I'm with this person. But what he said to me was that, no, that's not how that works. When you start thinking you good enough, they'll start treating you that way. And if they don't, it's okay. Just move on to the next one. And so I looked back at those relationships, and every last one of them, I was like, golly, I hope I start feeling better about myself because I'm with this person. And I started breaking down those relationships, who those people were and why I was with them. But here's the thing, once I did that, I had to go back in and figure out why the relationship didn't work. Because I was so busy trying to be somebody that I wasn't, so they would stay with me. Did y'all get that?
Say that again.
I was so busy trying to be somebody I wasn't because I wanted them to stay with me. And so I was busy trying to be Claire Huxtable in one relationship. I was busy trying to be T-Boz in one relationship. You see what I'm saying? I was busy trying to be all these other people that I know these guys liked in order to stay the relationship with them. And when I realized I couldn't keep that facade up, I started to break down. And y'all don't want to know how I was breaking down, because that ain't the Tracy you see before you right now. I'm just telling you.
And here's the thing that I want you to hear is that really the key to all of what she was saying is that when you really think about the relationships, most times we allow people to break us down. Most times we allow people to kill our self-esteem. Most times we allow people to make us feel like we're not good enough. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was saying early on that you've got to get to the place where nothing shakes your vibe as to who you are. Nothing they say, nothing they do can make you feel like you're not good enough. Nothing they can say or do can make you feel like you're not wanted. And that's the problem that you have. You have so many people who want to be in relationships, but they don't really feel 100% about themselves. And so you will not ever find yourself in a relationship where you're treated like a queen, because you don't feel like a queen yourself. And that's why, for me, you know, people sometimes have the tendency to tell me that I'm arrogant. And you know what? I probably am on the border of it. I can't help it. It's just really called self-confidence. There's nothing you can say that's going to break me down. Nothing. I don't care what you say. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me about me, but guess what? It ain't going to shake my foundation at all, because I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know my intellect. I know all of these things about me. So when you're at that place, what can they say that's going to make you shake your foundation? Nothing.
Right.
But when you're a little iffy about who you are, when you don't feel like you look good, when you don't feel like you're this and that and the other, when you don't feel like you're as fine as the next one,
when you feel like you got to keep the closet closed with all of the skeletons and the demons from your childhood or your past.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm telling y'all, you got to get to the point where you feel 100% confident about who you are. Right. And listen, you don't need anybody's validation. Now it's always good to get, hey, you look nice, hey, whatever. Everybody wants that. That's just a part of life. But you ain't got to tell me that, because every day, listen, when I get up, boy, I'm talking trash to myself. Listen, I ain't got no problem. I'm okay.
I can't even get it out my mouth before he's looking in the mirror to my, I look good.
Man, yeah.
I'm like, dude.
Not only do I look good, but you smart, man. I mean, that's just the way it is. You got to have that kind of dogmatic confidence about yourself. Right. It's not an arrogance. It's just you're confident about who you are. That's just like somebody who's confident in welding, or somebody who's confident in
boxer,
detailing cars, or whatever they might be. It's not that they're arrogant. It's just that they know what they know. And you can't take that from them. That's just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you can't shake my foundation. That's not just what you're putting my life for.
That's it. So y'all getting something out of this? Because we just decided we were going to share a little piece. Because it hasn't been 30 minutes, because I'm about to get off.
No, not yet.
Okay. I'm just joking. So that's just how our relationship got started. We spent a lot of time in conversations. He didn't get access to the inner sanctum first. He didn't get access to all of the deep, dark secrets first.
You made me think about something. I want y'all to hear me, especially ladies. I need y'all to hear me. Hear me good on this. Please hear me. Hear my heart on this. The thing I want to really get you to understand is, if you really want to know how far a relationship is going to go, just have conversations. Just see how many different types of conversations
y'all can talk about.
How many different topics y'all can talk about. Now, let me go on and say also to the women. You women are always talking about, I want a good man, I want this, that, and the other. But at the same time, don't expect to get somebody deep when you're shallow. And that's the problem.
Look at the pool.
That's the problem. Some of y'all want a good man. You want this, you want that. You want a spiritual man. You want a God-filled man.
And
you ain't God-filled yourself. You ain't God-filled too much. You want a God-filled man. Now, let me flip the script. And then some of y'all who are lovers of God and go to church and go to Bible study, some of y'all are picking up men who don't care nothing about no Bible. Some of y'all picking up men who don't even think about going to church. They don't like no preacher because they think all the preachers are just alike. How you going to have a relationship with a man like that? The only thing he going to do is take you further away. He going to start making you think, yeah, you know what, you're right. All because you want to be with a man, you're a crazy self. And I'm saying, I said that, I'm sorry. Take that out there. And I'm saying to you, you can't get into a relationship with somebody and you can't have deep conversation, what you gonna talk about? If you can't talk about, surface stuff, what can they talk about? And if you got somebody who can't talk about politics or what's going on in the world, and then they say it got to be politics. If all they know is sports, I'm telling you now, leave that alone. All they can talk about is sport. Leave that alone. And they can't talk about nothing about the Bible. Can't talk about nothing about what's going on in world affairs. And they can't talk about this, that, and the other, to where y'all can have stimulating conversations. Watch this. In case something happens and y'all ain't able to have sex, you can still be stimulated intellectually. Come on, y'all. Y'all ain't feel it. I think I need to rewind that. Some of y'all, watch this now, are so engulfed in your relationship because of sex. And if something happens to where he gets, or she gets, or whatever, don't matter, y'all can't do anything. Guess what? Now you're sitting there bored with each other because you ain't got nothing to talk about. You can't be stimulated emotionally. Can't be can't be, what's the word I just said? Can't stimulate, intellectually. Can't be stimulated mentally. Come on now. What's wrong with you?
That's it.
Can't be stimulated spiritually.
Nothing. You got nothing. It takes work. It doesn't take any work to get into a pool and be in the shallow end. It don't take no work. All you gotta do is step down the steps and stand there. It doesn't take any work. But the further away you move from the shallow end to the deep end, it requires a little bit more work. It requires a little bit more technique. It requires a little bit more caution, because now you know that what was once easy to walk on requires more work of you to get to the deep things. So the deep things of Lawrence Knighton took me a little bit more work. The deep things of Tracy Knighton took Lawrence a little bit more work to get to. He shouldn't be able to stay in the shallow end. And listen, he shouldn't be able to stay in the shallow end and get all of me in the shallow end. He's got to be able to swim to the deep to be able to get some things that are not available to everybody else. It takes a skilled person to make it to the deep end. Check that out now. It takes a skilled person to make it to the deep end. And check this out. Be comfortable in the deep. He's comfortable in the deep. He is very uncomfortable in shallow situations.
What?
He's extremely uncomfortable. And I'm not saying uncomfortable like I got to get out of this, but he's uncomfortable because he feels like it's a waste of time. He feels like it takes no energy. And so when he wants stimulation, check this out. His love language is words. So imagine if I didn't match his love language. That's it. So that was the part of us that we developed in dating. We had to develop, and before we even knew what each other's love language really was, we were already doing it. We were already stimulating each other mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We were already speaking each other's love language. He is verbal. That's his love language. He wants to talk. He's words. But guess what mine is? It's time. Spending time with me. So that works perfect. It works perfect. We're sitting here talking each other's love language already. Did y'all get that?
Yes. That's why we flow so easy. Because that's what we do. We talk all the time.
Talk all the time.
So let me say this also, because again, I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna say something else. I'm gonna say to the women again, get to the point where you're investing in yourself intellectually, even if it's just reading different books.
Stop reading them.
Get to the place where you at least know what's going on in the world, because
stop watching that Lifetime.
Let me say it like this, because most men of substance are gonna be able to talk about something other than sports. Are gonna be able to talk about something other than world issues. People, or I say people, I'm saying men who are really of substance, want to be able to have some deep conversations. Now, the problem is, if I can just be honest with y'all ladies, the reason why y'all having such a hard time catching on to good men, and it's not a knock on men, is because most times women have been accepting of so much shallow stuff that the men ain't had a chance to be deep, and
have been challenged to be able to be deep.
Been challenged to be deep. So
because the shallow end of the pool, listen, the shallow end of the pool is always crowded.
Always.
Always. If you ever go to a pool, the shallow end of the pool is always crowded.
And that's why I'm challenging you guys to really get to the place, men and women, I'm talking to both of y'all now, you got to get to the place where you become a little bit more intentional about investing into your intellect. Because here's the thing. So one of the conversations that comes up a lot in these relationship things that I see is that a lot of men sometimes feel inferior because a woman makes more money, or a lot of men feel inferior because a woman has more education. What difference does that make if you're intellectually there yourself?
Right.
And I'm not saying this in a negative way, but truthfully, there's no level of intellectual person that I don't feel like I can be around. If you got a doctorate degree, I can hang with you. It doesn't matter. The point I'm making is, as long as you're confident in what you know, you can talk about this, talk about that, and it's not about the education. It's really not. I mean, it is, but it's not.
It's about the content.
It's about the content. It's about being able to have somebody that
Did
you
y'all
can.
get that? It's about the content.
Yeah, it's about the content. I mean, that's really what it's all about. There's no need of feeling inferior because she makes more money. No need of feeling inferior because she has more education. The bottom line is, just know who you are. Just bring what you bring.
And if you feel like you need more, get a book. And if you don't read that well, I hear a lot of people saying, sometimes just reading takes so much out of me. Okay, every book is an Audible book now. So instead of listening to Facebook all the time, instead of listening to all that music all the time, listen to a book. Get something. Listen, if you don't know how to cook, learn how to cook if you want to impress her or him. But do something other than watching Lifetime movies and reading romance novels. Listen, that stuff ain't real. That's the problem. You spending so much time on stuff that ain't real. And don't get me wrong, social media is great when it's used for the right purpose, but social media ain't even real. People post what they want you to see in their lives.
And listen, most of it ain't real.
And most of it ain't even real.
Y'all hear what we're saying? And most of it is not real.
That's it.
They're not showing you when they getting, their feelings hurt. They're not showing. They just showing you, we all in love. Stop playing. You ain't always like that.
Exactly. They ain't showing you the true them.
Yeah.
It's just a snapshot. It's just a snapshot of what they choose to post.
Here's what it's like, right? It's like this. When you go to a movie theater, right, they show you the previews, and they show you enough to get you interested in going to see that movie. They show you the highlights of that movie. And that's the same way it is with people on social media. They show you the highlights of their life. They don't show you the stuff that happens prior to the highlights. They don't show you the stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
And that's the issue that you have.
They don't tell you how much the movie costs to bring it to you. See, there was a price that had to be paid in order to bring that wonderful movie to you. And just like with this, there was a price that had to be paid called our previous marriages to get us to 19 years. This didn't happen by happenstance. He didn't grow up with the best parents giving him an example of what love looked like. I didn't either. Listen to us. He didn't grow up with the best parents giving him an example of what love looks like, and I didn't either. And so with that was even one of our conversations. What was your childhood like? Listen, I'll tell anybody, my parents were great parents. They just sucked at being married to each other. And nowhere in my family has there been a successful marriage for me to look at and go, that's what a great marriage is. I can't go in my family and interview anybody and say, tell me what it takes to make a marriage work. I don't have anybody in my family that I can interview to get those nuggets. But in sitting down with him when we were dating, we had conversations about about what we noticed that didn't work and about what we wanted to do to make things work.
Yeah, and let me say this now, because again, both of us had great parents as it relates to parents. But again, as it relates to marriage, we didn't have the household where we walked around, everybody was saying, I love you to each other. Because again, that generation, they just did what they knew to do. Right. Which we don't knock that. That's just what they did at that time. They were great providers, great protectors, all that great stuff. But again, we're talking about modeling marriage, modeling relationships. So when you are around us, what you see with us, that's what you see every day with us. We don't have a problem walking around the house. Can I tell y'all, I don't have a problem walking around the house while she's cooking and patting her on her butt. Because I want my daughter, I want my son, whoever is here to see that this is what we do. Be nice? Okay, I'm sorry. But the point I'm making on a serious note, watch this though. So if you have children, say for instance, I'm talking to the married couples now. Okay. Let's talk about Mama Julia Dyer and Arthur Dyer, right? They're in their 70s. They're in their 70s, and they still walk around the house. He'll pat her butt at 70-something years old.
In front of the children.
In front of the children. They don't care nothing about that. And so the point I'm making is you get a chance to see, even from an older couple who are in their 70s, that they're still doing fun, crazy things.
What it took to keep each other.
Yeah, at 70-something years old. Are y'all hearing me? And she's on here. She'll tell you.
Sure enough.
We do marriage retreats for different churches, Tracy and I, and the Dyers have been coming for the last maybe 2 or 3. And one year she brought aprons for the ladies to take back home. She said, listen, y'all ladies need to have this apron on when y'all cooking.
With nothing underneath.
I think the backside of it was out, you know. But here's a lady in her 70s telling these young girls, y'all need to make this thing spicy. And it's not so much about the sexual part of it. It's about her showing them that you have to be able to be creative in your marriage. You have to have, and her husband, Arthur, he can talk. Lord Jesus, he can talk. And because he's well-rounded, he's not just talking about the spiritual. Right. He just talks about life. He talks about all of these things. And that's why I'm saying to y'all, some of y'all, watch this, are finding people who are good for your fantasy, but they ain't hitting on nothing for your future.
For your future.
Can I say that again? Some of y'all are experts at finding people who fit your fantasy. Make it last forever. And listen, and they ain't got nothing to offer for your future. And I'm trying to tell y'all, we built a solid foundation. We built the situation where, you know, it is what it is. We just have fun. We enjoy each other. Right. If y'all saw our video that we posted earlier, we've not argued in 19 years married and about 2 years dating, 21 years. How do you not argue? How do you not fuss? And I think Tracy probably be good to just say what you were saying earlier as it relates when we were talking on our church live this morning, talking about what arguing does for y'all. I think we'll close with this.
Okay, so what I was saying was that you never want, if you're married to someone and you're trying to create this loving environment. Here's the thing: when we think of arguments, we think there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. So here's what I want to plant a seed in when it comes to arguing. You don't argue in your marriage. You have disagreements. Because arguments, when you think of an argument, you think of 2 attorneys in a courtroom. One has to win, and if one has to win, one has to lose. And the person that's trying to win, which in the beginning is both of them, they're trying to win their court cases. They're going to win by any means necessary. Any means necessary. And so if you're thinking about your relationship, you're thinking about your marriage, there may be things that you say that you can't take back.
For sure.
There may be things that you do that you can't erase from history. And so an argument suggests that there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. And so if I'm arguing with you, I'm not even listening to what you're saying, because I'm strategizing in my head what my rebuttal is going to be so that I can, win the argument. But when you disagree, we're 2 different people with 2 different opinions. We disagree with dignity, honor, and respect. So when the disagreement is over, we can go to the bedroom together and still go to bed at night. Does that make sense? He ain't sleeping in another room. I'm not sleeping in another room. We're not walking around the house not speaking to each other because our feelings are hurt, because we said something we couldn't take back, because you did something that I didn't approve of or that just really broke me down, and now we can't sleep in the same room, and now I got to go get in the car and be gone for days without us speaking to each other because of what you said, because we were arguing, because we were both trying to win the argument. There are no winners when there's an argument. But when there's a disagreement, we can do it respectfully. We can still do it with love. We can still, listen, we have had disagreements and we can't even finish the disagreement for joking and cutting up with each other. And then 30 minutes later, we got to come back and go, now what were we talking about? Because we go into our difference of opinions knowing that when it's over, we still gonna do what we need to do. Ain't nobody hurt. It ain't foul. Ain't nobody feelings all over the place. We still connected.
Now, we have talked enough for tonight. And
we're done.
We're going to come back to y'all next week, though. What we're getting ready to do now, we're getting ready to get off of this live. And we both get ready to go jump in the pool.
Whoop, whoop.
Go jump in the pool. I don't even know if I'm going to have no clothes on when I jump in there tonight. Can't nobody see over here.
Once we turn the lights out, you can't see nothing.
Can't nobody see. I'm just saying. I'm being silly.
It's called skinny dipping.
We're skinny dipping tonight. We skinny dipping. Peace out, people. We love y'all. Y'all been a mighty good crowd. If y'all been blessed tonight, show some love. So we want y'all to know that we love y'all on a serious note. We just wanted y'all to come and join us tonight. Y'all be blessed. We'll catch y'all next time.
Next
See
time.
ya.
Bye.